Gavor. Chapter 17 is about the applications portfolio management or application portfolio management. They call it APM. It's basically saying, what are all the applications we have IT apps for, or programs, or systems, and how do we manage them? How do we make sure the portfolio is what we need and that it's up to date and we don't have extra stuff? To me, if you use an ERP system, it covers a large portion of this. So it's the ongoing management process of categorizing, assessing, and rationalizing one's complete set of IT applications. This methodology allows companies, organizations, for which applications to maintain, invest, replace, retire, i.e. avoiding what we're going to call the maintaining applications quagmire. What is that quagmire? Well, if people keep acquiring systems, it's almost like apps on your phone. Oh, I need this app. Oh, I need that app. Oh, I need this app. Oh, I need that app. Next thing you know, on your iPhone or Android phone, you got 50 apps, of which 5 of them you use like 90% of the time or 95% of the time. So the nice thing about apps on the iPhone and Samsung is they will update themselves. So you don't have to worry about updating and all that. They're always usually up to date. But the fact that you don't use them, it's taking up space. And when phones didn't have as much memory, it became a serious issue. Computer programs are another issue. They can become obsolete and unsupported by the vendor. In fact, one of your classmates has talked often about a software that they use for inventory management that the company that provides it no longer supports. So to me, that software is useless to that company. So sometimes companies will have workarounds around these things, or if they've developed things themselves, they're poorly documented, or you end up with duplicate applications in different parts of your company that do the same thing, which is an unnecessary complexity and expense. More than 80% of IT spending is used in these applications. In the entire process of selecting, purchasing, maintaining, and eventually retiring. Oftentimes, I guess managers in the business are somewhat reluctant to trim the sails, if you will, or cut the number of applications, because always such change involves some sort of agony. And if you are not doing it from a central location, you kind of are clouding up. I don't know if you're restricting the enterprise vision of IT, you're certainly clouding it up and making it messy. So the solution, as we said, is a portfolio perspective. Much like I said, the budgeting process was like capital budgeting. You're trying to choose what, in the process of doing that, you're also choosing what software applications you use, what system applications you use, which apps you actually use, and which ones you're not. So they look at it like, in a textbook, they look at it like an investment portfolio management process. And then right next to it is the application portfolio management process. And if you can just read through this, professional management is professional management of your investments, but the client owns a portfolio. Professional management, but the business owns the portfolio. Professional financial portfolio balanced across investments in equities, fixed income, and cash. Well, the application portfolio balanced across investments in new application, currency, maintaining the current status of applications, which is maintenance, enhancements, upgrades, and retiring and decommissioning old ones. I don't know how these two things go together, but hey, it's not my slide. I'm presenting it, but it's not my slide. Client directs investment where needed, e.g. 50% equities, 40% fixed, 10% cash. Business directs the investments where needed. We need 40% new applications, 30% currency, 30% decommissioning. I'm going to throw the flag on this one. I think that's done in concert with IT and the business. Client provides direction on diversity across investments. Business provides direction on diversity of investment. I think they're stretching it a little bit too far here. I think if you use the ERP system, 80% of your functionality, 90% of your functionality in your company is covered by your ERP. You could use, if you need more advanced applications in certain areas, you can and should use the advanced applications available with SAP or Oracle if you're at that level of sophistication. If you're at the other end of it, you could use QuickBooks has a basic intro, and then they have various grades of upgrade to allow you to run your whole business. That doesn't mean that you still don't need applications that are not part of your ERP system, especially in phones, especially in, as we talked last time, Google Docs, Microsoft Teams are not part of an ERP system. They may have their own office suite and collaboration suite in it, or project management suite, but some of these applications may be better on the outside. You may have a specific application written for your salespeople. You may favor one CRM system over the one that's in the ERP system. Client receives quarterly updates on his portfolio health and an annual report. Well, the businesses should have quarterly reviews of their application portfolio health and an annual report. New investments are evaluated on their impact on the overall portfolio. And when people want new applications, they're evaluated on their impact. Now, I've seen a case where a vice president of procurement was let go from the company, retired early basically, because he insisted and went around this process to use an application that he thought was better for the purchasing department, where the IT policy was to use the base functionality and then advanced applications within SAP. He thought he could do what he wanted. He could not do what he wanted. So the application portfolio, it's identifying the value of existing applications against corporate profitability, stability, usability, and technical obsolescence. Do companies use things that are technically obsolete? Well, we have that one example from a person in our class. We have another example in that there's a lot of business software written out there that's in almost an archaic language called COBOL, C-O-B-O-L, that is still run at many companies and many aspects of companies that ERP systems, maybe they don't even have an ERP system, or it's a specific thing unique to their company where they're using an old application. And finding COBOL programmers is kind of a tough thing to do. I think if you know COBOL well, you can make a good living. A project portfolio. So you identify the value of future spending, and you prioritize those, as we've discussed often in this class. So the benefits: visibility into where the money is being spent, and this provides a baseline to prioritize what you should do, and is based on the value creation. You prioritize them across multiple dimensions: value to the business, urgency, and financial return. Well, certainly financial return is one of the huge ones. If it's a value to the business, it's going to have a financial return. Sometimes you have to put something in that's urgent, and it may not have a financial return. It may be mandated by law, a change in the law. You just have to do it. Like if you have certain kinds of regulations, if you make pharmaceuticals or something, and the regulations get more stringent, and this requires a software upgrade, and you've got to invest in it just to keep maintaining your business, you just have to bite the bullet on that. And it's also a mechanism to make sure that applications map directly to business objectives. Again, value to business, financial return has to be tied to business objectives. So to manage an application, to do application portfolio management, there are three capabilities that are needed: strategy and governance, which actually sounds like two there, inventory management, and reporting and rationalization. So let's look at what each one of these means. Strategy and governance. If strategy is the destination, then governance is the map. That's a nice adage there. Let's apply it here. Application portfolio governance answers the following questions: what decisions need to be made? Who should make these decisions? How are the decisions going to be made? With regard to software computer applications, if you look at it, you have the enterprise business objectives and critical success factors. That goes into an enterprise strategy. You have key performance indicators and a balanced scorecard that tells you what you're trying to do. And you have an IT plan, policies, principles, and a roadmap. And you have an investment portfolio management, which leads to project portfolio management, because every time you implement a new software or upgrade a software, it's equivalent to a project in terms of project management. And then you do the application portfolio management, and this kind of goes on an ongoing, you keep turning that circle, if you will. So positioning APM within an enterprise IT governance framework. So it has its own application right here. Common barriers in the initial phases: lack of accountabilities in governance. Application assessments are not taken seriously. That's how that vice president of procurement lost his job. Business managers lack awareness and accountability. Well, I don't know about awareness and accountability. They were used to, if I need a software, if I need an application, and if I have enough money in my budget, I can go do it. Well, those days are gone. Maybe they've left a little bit of money for some small things, for some testing, but the bulk of the money is better managed now, and in the budgeting process of what gets done. Inventory management. Well, you've got to know all the software that we have in a company. You just need to know that, and in what state it is in. So you want to identify all the applications that are included in the portfolio that are going to be managed centrally. The inventory is determined by strategy and governance, but first of all, you do an inventory to find out what you have all across the company and what you're paying money for, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, we don't need all of that, or it's so redundant that we could save money by just having one solution for some of these things. North Park does this. They're always taking, they use application management, portfolio management, because we're always looking at the usage of various applications. For example, we have SPSS, a statistical software package. And do we use it? Do we not use it? Is it going to be replaced by something that's open structure and cheaper like R? Do we just add R when we already have SPSS? These are applications that could be used in big data analysis. Do we have to have both? So these are things, and you can't just go, you have to go through a process to have an application added to our computer systems for student use. You want to gathering the following information that we talk about. What are the general applications information? What's their functionality? What's their category? What does it do? What's it used for? What condition is it in? What's the development language, operating system architecture? How old is it? How critical is it to the business? user base, is it actually effective? Uh, and how much does it cost a year? Is it a license that costs us $5, 50, 500, 5,000, 50,000 a year to maintain the license? And what value are we using it for? And then reporting and rationalization. So you want a standard report that just says, here's what we have, here's what's part of the strategy, here's what's not part of the strategy, here's the status of things that are not part of the strategy, and how we're going to bring those applications within the strategy. And you have a timeline and a time frame and an investment scheme to get there. And that investment scheme can be accelerated if the company is willing to give more cash, or in trying times, it may be delayed because of a cash crunch. One way of looking at a report, you can look at something like this. The technical condition, in the first quadrant, you have low to high. High being good, I guess, low being not a good condition. The business value goes from low to high. So really you want to have high as much as you can. And the size of the ball represents the size of the annual cost. So these are the applications you want to keep and renew. These are the applications low that you want to retire. The ones that are high technical condition but low business value, you want to reassess. The ones that are high business value but low technical, you want to replace and move into this category. Normally, these are probably not ERP-based applications, but if you can, you implement that the ERP is probably the stuff that's up here. And if you can move these other stray applications, if you will, into the ERP, is probably the base strategy that you want to follow. The reports should provide information to meet the needs of various stakeholders. What's the stakeholders? Well, the IT org. And you have the risk audit and security teams, which is basically, let's say, finance, that controls purse strings and looks at those kinds of risks. Obviously, audit. And then, of course, the business teams, because the business teams assess business value. The IT teams assess technical condition. So you need them both. And then, of course, you can't do any of these things where spending large amounts of money is involved without having finance involved. So, key lessons learned. Balance demand and supply. Regulated enhancements and releases for APM reporting. Not quite sure what they mean by that. Look for quick wins. If you're putting a system like this in place and show that it works and saves the company money and provides more effectiveness and more return on investment, that's the key early on, that you want to make sure and show that this process works. Capture data at key life stages. Capture data in approval, testing, production, modifying. Well, these are the gates. These are like product development, when you want to find out and manage these things so that it's not burning a hole in your pocket or burning a hole through your budget, basically. Because usually implementation projects are cash intensive. I mean, they just burn money until the application is live and starting to provide a return on that investment. By balancing demand and supply, I think what you want to say is the demand is infinite. Every function in a company probably wants better bells and whistles and cooler programs and cooler applications that make their job more easier to do and more effective. And there's so the demand is huge, but you want to make sure that you balance the budget when you do this. And you find out that you don't just like willy-nilly have applications coming supplied from various sources around your world if you're a multinational, and you want to regulate that whole process so you bring the budget under control and you bring what are we offering and what are we not offering, and then everybody knows that, and you don't have the authority or the ability to go out and do something on your own. You want to tie your your APM to what they call total cost of ownership. You want to look at how long is this going to cost us over the lifetime, and look at an application end state view. All important, very important stuff, but most of the time when you're doing something new, I think you look at return on investment, and most companies have hurdles for that. And as you get better at this, you want to make sure that you communicate the process. To me, the whole process of all of this management is almost like a capital budget process. They use investment portfolio, but I think, you're always assessing, here's our factories, here's our warehouses, here's the state of repairs they're in, here's what needs to be done, here's what has to be done, here's where we need to expand, here's where we need, to me it's more similar to that than an investment portfolio. So this APM promises significant benefits. It does give benefits if you do it properly. And the benefits require development of the mutually reinforcing capabilities. The governance, strategy and governance, the inventory, and the looking at where things stand in reporting the capability and aligning the portfolio with the strategy. That's it. Thank you very much. Talk to you again soon.